So we have some big news out of Iran. Iranian leaders are now openly threatening Donald Trump's life. Iran National Security Council official Ali Larijani said, quote, "We won't let Trump off the hook. He must pay the price. He has martyred our leader and our people. This is not a simple matter. We will not let it go until we retaliate in kind." Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister just issued a scathing response to Donald Trump after Trump posted a message earlier today claiming that Iran had already apologized and effectively surrendered in the region. In the statement, Iran's foreign minister says that their president had signaled openness to de-escalation, provided that neighboring countries did not allow their airspace, territory, or waters to be used to attack the Iranian people. But now the foreign minister says that that opportunity was almost immediately killed by Trump's comments, claiming that this amounted to surrender and calling Iran the, quote, losers of the Middle East. The statement says that if Trump is seeking escalation, that is, quote, precisely what our armed forces have long been prepared for and what he will get. Trump's message this morning not only mocked Iran for saying they wouldn't fire on neighbors who didn't allow their countries to be used as bases to attack them, but it also says that Iran was, quote, being beat to hell and warned that additional targets were now under consideration for attack. Iran's foreign minister slammed Trump's war as a, quote, misadventure that will ultimately cost the United States billions of dollars and more lives while escalating tensions across the region. The foreign minister said the following, quote, "The American people voted to end involvement in costly quagmires in the Middle East. Instead, they have ended up with an administration that Netanyahu, after decades of failed attempts, finally managed to dupe into fighting Israel's wars. This is a war of choice pursued by a small cabal of Israel firsters, and Israel first always means America last." In a major escalation, Israel is now attacking oil refineries in Iran, and Iran now says that they are targeting Israel's refinery and infrastructure. It's clear at this moment that this war is only getting started. Stay safe, spread the word, and follow along for more.
Trump's final message to Iran, if he's ever unalived, is insane. As you can see, Trump literally said this: if Iran were to ever unalive me, I have left instructions. And you might wonder, what type of instructions has he left for Iran? Trump has literally said they will be obliterated. Nothing will remain of Iran. I don't even know what to even make of that, because if I was Iran and I wanted to, cause harm, I would literally refrain from doing so. What do you mean you've left instructions? What do you mean you're gonna obliterate an entire nation? Nothing will remain of Iran. And in the video, Trump even goes as far as saying that they would, long story short, be wiped off the map if he's ever unalived by Iran. I don't know who pissed off Trump. I don't know if he woke up on the wrong side of the bed, but this nigga has been on demon timing for the past couple of days. Not even, for like the past 42 hours, 48 hours. He has not been playing at.
It's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why, lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader, or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran. So
the United States is losing the war with Iran. And the only reason I know that is because the government is currently losing its fucking mind. Trump claimed that we won within the first hour of the strikes, but now you have the FCC out here threatening to pull the licenses of any news station that reports distortions. If you're winning a war, you don't need to threaten the fucking media. Pete Hegseth literally yelled at reporters for asking about casualties, saying that they only wanted to know to make the president look bad. Since when is reporting the deaths of service members a political fucking hit job? Trump even said the media is reporting lies about planes that were struck down because they want the country to look bad. That's fucking insane. They're trying to black out the truth before the license renewals comes up. What do you think that they're trying to hide?
Hi guys, welcome back once again. Right now, President Trump is panicking as Iran is threatening his life. We've all seen how a lot of Americans, they're so much furious with him, they're so much frustrated with him and disappointed. to an extent whereby a lot of people are really saying that it's really high time America needs regime change. And whenever people say this, or whenever you hear some Americans say regime change, it doesn't mean they want chaos. It means they are frustrated, they feel the system isn't working for them, and they want a major shift in leadership or direction. And this is the reason why a lot of people have really come out and they reacted to this. Came out and said that during Trump's campaign, when he was campaigning, he promised people that he will be the peacemaker. But right now, a lot of people are fading up with him because of what he's really doing, involving himself in unnecessary war that's really making a lot of American right now to go through a lot, because a lot of things will be destroyed, a lot of people will be unalive, and a lot of families will be in much danger. Right now, we've all seen how the economy is really rising up. We've all seen how it will hit a lot of Americans' pocket, and a lot of people, one thing they don't know is that they think that this war will only affect these three countries, but it will affect a lot of countries worldwide. Kindly watch this clip till the end and I'll be back with more comments.
Let me give you my thoughts on the various threats coming out of Iran. And what I'm talking about are not only threats of attacks within the United States, but threats against American leadership, specifically threats against Donald Trump. As you can see here, they have made these threats from top leadership in Iran. Let me tell you why I think that this is mostly bluster, and that at this stage in the war, we're, I don't know, day 11 or 12 of the war, that it is bluster. First, let's deal with threats against Trump. As you guys know, Russia has been supplying Iran with certain information to help them target weapons and things like that. But I don't know why that's a surprise, because the Russians and the Iranians are allies. They've been allied for decades, just like we've been helping Ukraine target people or doing whatever and sending weapons and money. The Russians are helping the Iranians. That's the way things work. I don't know why anybody's outraged, okay? But here's the deal. I'm pretty sure, and however they communicate, whatever channels Putin communicates with Iranian leadership, that he's told them, do not touch our boy Donald Trump. Not because he likes Donald Trump or they're friends. That's all BS. Because two reasons, I think. The Russians, A, have been grooming or they've groomed already and developed Donald Trump as an asset for decades. You guys can go back and watch my series called The Useful Idiot, where I do a 6-part series and I talk about how from the beginning, the early 80s, Trump has been groomed as a Russian asset. That's a lot of work, okay? Russia's the only country in the world that actually has real live sleeper agents. Nobody else does that. And they look at the long game. Not that they knew in the 80s that Trump was going to be president, but they basically, hit the jackpot. They have pulled off the greatest intelligence coup in the history of mankind by getting their groomed asset elected president of the United States twice, okay? So there's that part. Then there's the other part, which is having this guy Trump as president of the United States and all of the disorganization, all of the chaos, all of the mismanagement, everything that's going on. As you can see now, how he's been able to turn a booming economy in 2024, 2025, before he became president, into this disaster of tariffs and war and high gas prices and all that stuff. And it's just feeding into not only the Chinese, but the Russians. They want to see more chaos, because when there's chaos in the world, they can make more advances, okay? We're not allied to Europe anymore. NATO is like nowhere. I mean, that's because of Trump. So why would they want another guy to take over who's probably most likely, and I'm not even talking about J.D. Vance, anybody, it could be anybody, take over when they have this cash cow in the White House. So those are the two reasons, and I think Trump could walk down Main Street in Tehran and not get touched by at least the Iranian leadership, okay? Now there's always there's always a wild card. And, there are Iranian proxies like Hezbollah and other organizations like that who may not listen to people. They're hard to wrangle. And so anything's possible. But as far as Iranian leadership is concerned, they're not going to do anything. And I'll finish with attacks within the United States. Look, Iran is devastating Israel right now. I think that's satisfying their bloodlust. They are leveling Israel, regardless of what you may see on the news. They're leveling the place. Israel, if Iran keeps going, could look like Gaza pretty soon. Okay, that's how bad it is. And in Israel, you can get into trouble. You can go to prison for letting anybody know that. Okay, so why would they screw their? Imagine there'd be a big attack in the United States by Iran, some big 9/11 type thing. That would basically take the U.S. population that's now at least 3-1 against the war with Iran to 3-1 for the war with Iran. They're not stupid. Why would they do that? Okay, they're getting their jollies attacking Israel. They don't need to attack the United States because they understand that this war with Iran is very unpopular and they don't want to make it popular. So that's why I don't think, unless there's some rogue actor or anything, I don't think the actual Iranian leadership has any interest in rocking that.
Donald Trump is crying for help. He's crying for help because he cannot control the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump is crying to China, Japan, South Korea, and a lot of other countries, including Britain and France, to help him to secure the Strait of Hormuz. This war with Iran that Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump started has turned into a monster that they cannot control. You understand what I'm saying? They had no expectation that it would come to this. Now, with the amount of military ships and warplanes that the United States have in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, right? They still cannot manage or defeat the Iranians or take control of the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump is mad and furious about that. What does Donald Trump do? Donald Trump now attacks Karg Island. That island that Iran owns that seems to be one of their top sources of oil, where they get oil from. You understand? So Donald Trump is bombing that island. Okay? He's crying for help and asking other world leaders to come and help him to secure the strait so oil could flow to different parts of the world. But that's the same Donald Trump that a few weeks ago, right, told the world that Iran is being defeated. He's taken out all their strategic positions. Their navy is decimated. Their air force, she took out everything. That's the same Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? But now he's crying for help. Remember, Donald Trump said recently in a speech, in an interview, that the military service members from England, Norway, the American allies, they weren't much of a help to him, or they weren't much of a help during the Afghanistan-Iraq campaign. Remember? Now, the same Donald Trump is calling for help from these allies. He said the allies weren't so much on the front line, and they were kind of off to the side, assisting in the Afghanistan-Iraq war. So now you see that Donald Trump words are coming back to haunt Donald Trump. You understand? Yes, he cried victory too soon, and he had no idea that this war would take this turn. And look, based off experience and my own opinion and estimation, this war will not end anytime soon. Remember, the Iranian leaders, they vowed to avenge the deaths of the Iranians. They vowed that, okay? And Donald Trump is lying again. Not only is he crying for help, he's lying because he said that Iran is ready to make a deal. How can a person be ready to make a deal when they're not even appearing publicly? Iran top leader, right, is not appearing publicly. There's no communication between the top leader of Iran and Donald Trump. and he says they're ready to make a deal. No matter how Donald Trump sway this thing or push back or go around, it's obviously clear to the world that they're at loggerheads, and I have no idea what they're doing. So now they're calling to just put together an armada of ships made up from different countries, France, Great Britain, South Korea. He's even calling for help from China and Japan and all these other countries, and think they could just go to the Strait of Hormuz with an armada of ships and just take control from Iran. Let me tell you something. This is going to be devastating. Now, there's still other ships from different companies that are stuck down in the Persian Gulf, right? They cannot go through the strait. They just can't. So private companies and commercial ship that ships oil and all different types of stuff like that, a lot of them are packed up in the Gulf, hankered down. They cannot go nowhere. And if I were them, I would just turn around and go back to your country. That's what I would do, because you're in a very volatile and dangerous waters down there in the Persian Gulf. At any point in time, a missile, a rocket, anything could come from anywhere and hit your ship, hit your vessel. You get what I'm saying? And nobody will know who did it. Okay? It's a war zone, a very extremely dangerous place to be. What happens in war zones, nobody knows anything. It's just whatever. And that's what's going on. And not to mention the economic impact it's having on places like UAE and Dubai, where you can see now that airports are empty. You understand? Completely empty. People are flying out and just gone. Even local people from those parts of the world are leaving the countries. That's how dangerous it is. Okay? Because the bombing campaign continues. Okay? So there you go. This war, I don't see it ending anytime soon. Okay? And try as Donald Trump might, he's not going to take control of the Strait of Hormuz, because the Iranians are always going to use it as economic leverage. And what the lessons from this here is like this. You can have the biggest gun, but if you don't know how to use it, you will lose the war. It's that simple. Stay safe. Peace.
All right, folks, check this out. A United States senator just revealed what the Trump administration said in a closed-door briefing yesterday on Iran, and I think it's abundantly clear to everybody that both Trump and the people around him have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what's next. They have no plan for Iran, no idea on how to get out of this war. It is a disaster, and what Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat from Connecticut, revealed in this thread of text he put out on social media really should concern every single American. I mean, the level of incompetence that we are witnessing is unimaginable, yet it is our reality. So we're going to get into this. We're going to talk about what Chris Murphy revealed in this thread. Before I do any of that, though, please make sure to subscribe down below, drop a like on the video, comment. Let me know what you think about the story. If you're on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to rate the show 5 stars and follow along. Goes an incredibly long way. Without further ado, let's talk about it. So first and foremost, we have to start here. Kind of the miscalculation from the Trump regime on how Iran was going to respond to their attacks. This is what Chris Murphy is referencing in his thread. This is something that he touches on, how they were just woefully unprepared, still unprepared, even though we're in the midst of this war. This is from the New York Times, how Trump and his advisors miscalculated Iran's response to the war. In the lead up to the U.S.-Israeli attack, Donald Trump downplayed the risks to the energy markets as a short-term concern that should not overshadow the mission to decapitate the Iranian regime. On February 18th, as Donald Trump weighed whether to launch military attacks on Iran, Chris Wright, the energy secretary, told an interviewer he was not concerned that the looming war might disrupt oil supplies in the Middle East and wreak havoc in energy markets. Even during the Israeli and U.S. strikes against Iran last June, Wright said that there had been little disruption in the markets. Quote, oil prices blipped up and then went back down, he said. Some of Trump's advisors shared similar views in private, dismissing warnings that the second time around, Iran might wage economic warfare by closing shipping lanes carrying roughly 20% of the world's oil supply. That is in reference, of course, to the Strait of Hormuz. And that paragraph makes me sick in my stomach. I mean, these advisors were dismissing warnings that if we decided to take out a country's leader, that they might not just engage in military warfare, but also economic warfare. And the Strait of Hormuz, which is largely controlled by Iran, they border it, they just didn't consider that that might be shut down and there might be disruptions to global shipping lanes. I'm not joking when I said the level of incompetence is stunning. This is insane. It makes me once again remember the days of the Biden administration, where we had competent people in positions of power, very important positions of power, and you could sleep well at night knowing that if something like this were to arise, they would have a plan. They would know what's next. They would have the ability.
890.
A divide between Donald Trump and J.D. Vance seems to be growing because now it just got leaked to the media that J.D. Vance doesn't actually like Donald Trump's war in Iran and he's against it. And I actually think that J.D. Vance and his team is behind the leak because they don't want to be connected to this very unpopular war. But Politico reported yesterday that Vance was the skeptical voice in the White House on the Iran strikes. Senior White House officials revealed that the vice president made his opposition known in the lead up to the war with Iran, pulling the curtain open after months of speculation about Vance being far more tepid about military action than Donald Trump. The senior Trump official who spoke anonymously said that Vance is, quote, skeptical, worried about success, and just opposes the war on Iran. It really seems like this is J.D. Vance or somebody on his team leaking this because Vance wants to run for president. He doesn't want to be tied to this unpopular war in 2028. And what's interesting is that Vance has largely been silent on social media as this war goes on. The last time he publicly defended this war on Twitter was the 2nd of March. He's not even talking about it, pretending it doesn't exist. So let me know what you think, but I think there's a rift opening between Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, and he is leaking this himself to distance himself from all of it.
Donald Trump, I want to thank you for the high prices of gas. It's $4.19 in South Florida today. I'm in Delray right now, and it's $4.19 at this station. Gas has increased $1 a gallon or more, all because of this unnecessary war that you've gotten us into in Iran. And you don't even know why we're fighting. Once it's nuclear weapons, then it's regime change, then it's this, then it's that. I thought you destroyed all the nuclear weapons a year back in June. What happened to that? What happened to that story? You know, you tell us one story after another story after another story, and you don't even remember which story you've told us. You've told us so many times. I mean, really? We didn't vote for this. I didn't vote for you ever. And MAGA didn't vote for war either. And war is not helping anybody. But you did make the one comment today that the United States is the largest oil producer in the country, in the world, and that we're making money. Yeah, you and your oil buddies are making money. The billionaires are making money off the backs of the American people, just like your tariffs. You made money on that too. Love you for my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and the Bernal brothers. You happy with this war and these gas prices? And this is just the beginning. It's not the end. Whatever Donald Trump tells you, it's not the end. Just watch. $4.19 a gallon, Donald Trump. Thank you for the high prices of gas. $4.19, South Florida.
My Republican family voted against Kamala specifically because they said she was going to drag us into World War III. But look at what we've got going on right now. Not only is he tweeting out incendiary comments like, Tehran, you all need to evacuate immediately. I told you so. It's too late. Millions of lives are going to perish because Iran didn't sign the agreement that I took them out of the last time I was in office. And even last night, making comments, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Nobody knows what I'm going to do. That's literally an interview he just gave last night about something as serious as whether or not he's dragging our country into a war we did not start and do not belong in. He's taking it with such a flippant attitude, whether he's going to allow our country that already has our bombs dropping on Iran, whether we're going to go proactively participate in preemptively slaughtering tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Hi guys, welcome back once again. I really hope you watched the full clip and all credits goes to the creator of the video. There are real rising tension between Donald Trump and Iran, including threats and retaliation. Right now, Iran has threatened President Donald Trump, and right now President Trump is really panicking. Iran has warned of severe response to US action. The conflict has already escalated into military strikes, retaliation, and regional instability. I've all seen how President Trump right now is panicking. Iran threatened his life. And what if I told you the biggest threat right now isn't just war, it's how Americans are reacting to it? While tensions between Trump and Iran are exploding, something shocking is happening inside the US, and some Americans aren't scared. They're saying this could be a turning point. We've all seen how Americans are saying that it's really high time our country to be liberated. Yeah, a lot of Americans are really coming out and saying that it's really high time United States needs time change because of how a lot of people are so fed up, how a lot of people they are tired with this new admission, because a lot of people really came out and said that this man or President Trump really promised us that he will be the peacemaker of our country. He will not involve America in any form of war. But right now we have all seen he really went and involved himself in a necessary war. And this war is really costing our country billions of money. Instead of this money going and helping other things or helping our country to fix other problem, it's going on and wasting it on this war. We have all seen how President Trump is facing an expected retaliation from Iran, possible escalating Iran response. Dealing with global allies is starting to support him. We've all seen right now there's not anyone or allies, they don't want to fight this war. They are hesitating to support this war simply because a lot of them are saying that you didn't tell us, you didn't talk to us whenever you were going to attack Iran. And this thing is really making a lot of American people to be so furious with President Trump. And right now we have all seen instead of collapsing, Iran is getting more aggressive. Iran right now, they're coming up with new strategies, they're coming up with new plans to an extent whereby you're just saying that Trump is losing this war. We also that President Trump tried to tell Iran to cease fire, but we've all seen for the second time Iran, they said no, you really provoked us, and right now let's just fight. And we've all seen how Iran, they really have strong faith in this war. They're just winning this war and America is losing it. We have all seen how they're really punching it very hard. And some Americans are saying that we are tired of this war. Feel government ignores domestic issues. Yeah, we have all seen how the government ignores domestic issues. Instead of solving these domestic issues like health care, housing problems, they're wasting all this money on war. And there's growing group saying maybe this pressure exposes deeper problem in America itself. And some feel this could force changes. Some believe this exposes leadership failure. Oil routes like the Strait of Hormuz are affected. Global prices rising. War hits everyday people. We have all seen how gas prices are still rising up, how grocery prices are still rising up, hitting American people into their pocket directly. And this isn't just politics, it's about your fuel prices, your economy, your future. Allies are hesitant to fully support the US. We all know when President Trump really started this war, he really expected that he will win it. He really expected that a lot of his allies will support him. But right now, we've all seen how he's panicking because there's no anyone who wants to support him. There's no anyone who wants to go and try to help him fight this war. Instead, everyone is turning on him. And this is the reason why he's panicking, because he knows he's losing this war. For the first time, America might be standing more alone than expected. This is for the first time America will be standing all alone. And will this escalate? Will the US send troops? Will Iran go further? And the real question is, who actually loses this if this goes too far? We've all seen that a lot of people are really saying that President Trump is losing this war. And we have all come out and said that when some Americans say they will be liberated in a situation like this, they usually don't mean it literally. More of an emotion or political expression. And we've all seen they feel like they feel the leadership is making bad decisions, e.g. war and economical. This is the reason why they're saying that maybe they will be liberated. They want change and see pressure or failure as a chance for that change. We might finally be free from policies and leadership we don't agree with. And we've all seen what talk effects like fuel prices, cost of living, and taxes and government spending. Some Americans feel like too much money goes into war instead of helping citizens. And maybe this situation will force the government to focus on US instead. And we've all seen a lot of Americans that really came out and have really reacted to this. So guys, maybe things could be better. Maybe these three countries will come to an agreement and maybe solve this war peacefully. And a lot of Americans, they're so tired right now, they're so fed up, and they're so much disappointed in President Trump, the way he's ruling this country, to an extent whereby they're saying that we really need change. So guys, let me know what you think in the comment section, and if it was for the first time you come across my video, I humbly request, don't forget to like this video, subscribe and share. Thanks so much for your time. Be blessed whenever you are. Let me see you in the next clip.